Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Today I'm here with a very special guest. Let me tell you, this is a woman on a real mission and she is making a real difference. Danielle Robay is the host on E! She's also a journalist. She's also the founder of Pretty Smart podcast. She also has these amazing cards, one of the top rated games right now, rated by Forbes even, Question Everything. She's dynamic, she's incredible, and welcome to the show.
What an intro.
I'm so excited to have you here, for real.
Me too. You're a woman on a mission also. So I love talking to people that have like a deep sense of purpose, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh my gosh. So I was reading all about you and I'm like, your mentor was Larry King?
Yeah.
Talk to me about that. Like,
I know.
what?
That was one of the greatest gifts of my life. It was such a blessing. So I had been working in LA as a host and I was working a lot online, and then I got what I thought was my dream job. And it was at one of these big entertainment networks, and I was the youngest person they ever hired. And I went in with so much confidence and excitement, and I ended up hating the job. I would break out into hives. I would cry. Have you ever cried in the bathroom at lunch at one of these jobs?
Oh, yes. Yes.
It's like the oops job.
Yeah.
And I was working like 15, 16-hour days, and I called my mom from a gas station, and I was exhausted, and she was like, wouldn't you be so upset if this was your last day on earth and this is how you spent it? Like, go quit and figure it out. And I was like, I have no money. I don't know how I'm going to pay my rent. I can't just quit this job. And she said, you'll figure it out. You always do. Life is too short. So I quit the job. I was living off my credit cards, which I don't recommend.
Right, yes.
There's a lot of anxiety that's wrapped up in financial instability, you know?
I've been there.
Anybody who's been there, like, it hits you. You know what that feels like.
Yeah, that kind of stress.
Yeah. So I started writing down all these questions that I wanted to ask people that I thought I was going to interview in the future. Oprah, Michael B. Jordan, Mark Cuban, like, because everybody's always like, you know, I want to meet this person. I want to meet Michael Jordan. But if you meet them, what are you going to say?
Right.
You kind of like freeze up in the moment.
Oh,
right?
totally. Yeah.
So, and I'm an interviewer and a journalist. So I was like, I'm going to interview these people. What am I going to ask? So I started writing all these questions, and I was unemployed. So one of my friends said, tomorrow at 7 a.m., put your makeup on, and I'm going to take you somewhere. And I was like, why do I need makeup on? I'm not like a big makeup person. Why do I need makeup on at 7 a.m.?
Right.
And he was like, just trust me. I'm going to pick you up at 6:30. I was like, great. Picks me up. We go to Nate and Al's, which is a deli in Beverly Hills. And I walk in and I'm like, who's going to be here? And sitting at a table is Larry King and 6 of his childhood friends.
Stop.
And he has this big smile on his face, and I go sit down. And he orders one of two things. He always ordered matzo brie, or he had Cheerios with blueberries.
Okay.
That day he had the blueberries. And I sit down and I had all of these questions that I was dying to ask him because I grew up watching Larry King. And I didn't get to nearly one, I would say, because he was the most insatiably curious person I had ever met in my life. He took out his phone. What do you like about this phone? Why do you think people like the Kardashians? What is it?
What?
Like, he would just go on and on and on. And so I was sitting there staring at him, and I was like, this is not going to be my last breakfast with Larry. And I was unemployed, so I kept going back. And he was there every morning. I couldn't go every morning.
Yeah.
But I kept going back, and I got to ask him all these questions about how did you interview this person, and how did you ask this, and how did you broach this subject, and what's one interview you didn't get to do? And he taught me so much, and he really gave me the courage to go out and try and create my own thing, because he had his own show. I didn't know it was possible. I thought I had to work for a company.
Right.
And he was one of the true inspirations of Pretty Smart and also Question Everything, because I always say I learned from the king of questions.
Wow, that is so cool. How many years ago was that?
This was 2016, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when did you get your start? You're a Midwest
Yes.
sweetheart. I love this. We share the
Through and
Midwest.
through. I'm so
Yeah.
Chicago. You
Yeah.
can hear it in my O's and
Yes,
A's.
I love it. Are you a Bears fan?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I'm a Vikings fan. Yeah, yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I still like you.
Oh, good, same. Yeah. When did you know like you wanted to be a journalist? Like how did that all happen?
Yeah. I think I'm one of those weird or rare people that kind of always knew what they wanted. I was such a like adult in a kid's body.
Yeah.
I remember being in school and just thinking like, what are all these kids doing playing at recess?
Yeah.
Like I just
Yeah.
wanted to be like I was always so goal oriented.
Yes.
And I don't know if that's even a good thing, but it's just how I was. And so when I got to college, I kind of fibbed about my age actually, because I had credits that allowed me to be a sophomore even though I was a freshman. And I applied for an internship in Madison, Wisconsin at one of the local news stations and got it. And I started working in news and I loved it. And when I graduated, I moved to LA, lived in a garage because I had no money. I didn't know anybody.
You just came here like solo? Whoa.
Yeah. My grandma's friend let me live in her garage. I had oatmeal in a microwave for every breakfast, but I was so happy to be here.
Yeah.
Do you have those moments in your life? Like, how did you start at 22, 23?
Yeah, same. I got a mentor. I moved in with her. I slept on a mattress on the floor.
There you go.
I had an old ghetto desk and I made a vision board. And I was like so happy with nothing because I was actually pursuing something that meant something to me, you know?
Yeah.
So I get it.
When you're like, I think Tony Robbins always says this, but when you know your why, you figure out the how and the what.
You
and
do.
It's like you're just not phased by the how and the what.
Right.
Yeah.
So you lived in the garage.
Yeah, I lived in the garage, which was actually fine.
Yeah. It sounds crazy, but when you live in SoCal, it's not as bad as the Midwest. It's not like the Chicago garage.
Exactly.
Yeah. So what did it look like then? Did you just go try to get jobs? Like, did you, like, what did you do?
So I had no friends, no money, no clue. I did not know how to get a job. Like I had nothing to, I had a college degree, but I had nothing to show for myself. And so in journalism, what you need is called a reel, which like in sports, they have highlight reels too, you know?
I'm a speaker. We have a reel.
Okay, yeah, exactly. A speaking reel. That's your resume. That's what everybody looks at. Now I think people look at Instagram and TikTok a little more, but back in the day, all you had was your reel. So I had a newsreel from college, but also it was like very college-y footage.
Yeah.
And I knew I needed footage. So I would email people and say like, I'll work for free. There was all these online websites at the time. And there was one, this guy, I called him. I found his number on Facebook and it was like 7 maybe when I called him, 6:15. And he was like, how dare you call me after work hours? This is so inappropriate. And I was shaking. I was so scared. Because when you move from anywhere outside of LA, you think like, did I ruin my reputation in the industry?
Totally.
Which is not how it works.
Yeah.
But I emailed him after and I said, I'm sorry, I'm just really eager. Please consider me, like I'll work for free. And he said, you're annoying, but fine. Meet me at the Paley Center in Beverly Hills at 7 p.m. on Thursday. And I went and I did my first red carpet. And I convinced him to use me as a host for 2 months. I was like, don't use your other host, use me.
Wow.
And he was like, I can't get rid of my other host. And I was like, fine, but use me as much as you can. So if a dog had a birthday party in Beverly Hills, I was covering it. I just wanted as much footage and experience and repetition as possible.
Great. Yes.
And I put a new reel together after about 2-3 months. And then no one would respond to me. So I started sending out cookies or bamboo plants and writing little notes that said, you know, if you need anybody last minute or if you're open for a coffee, here's my email. And I would get these emails back like, hi, Danielle, nice to meet you. Thanks for the cookies. Like I could tell they were like, what?
Yeah.
But then I had their email addresses. So I would correspond with them every few months and send an updated reel and just say, hey, checking in. How's everything going? And one day I got a call from one of these companies and they said, our host is sick. Can you be somewhere in 2 hours? And it was for the X Factor red carpet. And I said, yes, I'm there. And I got my dress on and I did my makeup. And I had no idea what, like, I thought I looked so cute. And when I look back in photos, I want to like cringe. But I got there and Simon Cowell gave me an exclusive and they hired me and I got a job. And then from there, like once you get like the first in, it kind of
it rolls a little bit.
Yeah, like you meet people and there's definitely hardships and stuff along the way that you can talk about. But that was my first foot in the door.
Oh my gosh. Persistence and showing up.
Yeah.
And like you got your shot and you were prepared.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like you went all in with excellence.
I always say that luck is like a bus. And so you have to be at the bus station because more buses will come. But if you're not at the bus station, you can't ever hop on. You know?
So good. I just wish more people would understand that with sales, with all the things that, you know, we're selling ourselves, right? Essentially, that's what we're doing. But you have to show up long enough for people to notice. And I find that people they stop on the 10-yard line.
Really?
Like I mean, I've been teaching sales for over a decade or even just like human performance and, you know, how to, we sell ourselves and we get people to trust us. Like you with your career, they know like Danielle's going to show up and she's going to deliver, but that's I call it your credit score with your reputation. So you build that over time.
Yeah.
But the first time it's like a gamble for them, right?
But it's also it was a gamble for me. Like there were moments where I didn't have great interviews.
Yeah.
But I don't think like you're as bad as your worst moment. And part of that is growth and learning.
Yeah.
I do think that you really only lose when you quit.
Yes.
Because there's been moments where I've been like just crying on my kitchen floor. And it's like, I always say, just go to bed, like go to sleep, go take a nap. Don't quit.
The power of the pause, or I just need
I
tell my partner, I say, I just need, Emily needs a timeout. Like, can we just time out the deal? Can we just go have a cocktail and have a timeout? And he's like, yep, because we don't want her to quit.
I like that. Yeah, sleep, don't quit.
Yeah. Tell me about a moment that sucked royally. Like, was it they chose somebody else? Was it?
That's a really good question. Right before the pandemic, I was up for a job at E. And I had been, when I moved to LA, like that was my big goal. Like I grew up with Juliana Rancic and Kat Sadler, and I thought like that was it. And I had been called into E multiple times for meetings with different people and different parts of the company. And I would pitch ideas and I was so proactive. And this was the first time I was really up for something seriously. And I was kind of in that last pool of people. And they flew me to New York last minute. And I auditioned at 30 Rock, which is like, for what I do, it's like this legendary building. That's where they film SNL and all the NBC properties.
Yeah.
And I got a call a few days later and they were like, you didn't get it. I really thought like this was it. This is what all the sacrifice was for. And I didn't know what I was going to do. I just like, a no had never hurt me because I just always thought there was a next. And for some reason at that moment, I didn't see the next.
Yeah.
I thought this was it.
Yeah.
And I didn't know how to pivot. And I took it personally. And it's interesting when I think back on it, that also was part of the birth of Pretty Smart, because I was like, no one's hiring me. So I have to hire myself.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's so powerful.
Yeah.
I always say, or Tony Robbins actually says, it's not happening to you, it's happening for you.
Yes, but in the moment
it sucks.
You're like, why was this?
I know. In the moment, it's so easy to say on the other side of the thing when you birthed a new company, which we need to talk about. It's so easy to say, but in the moment you're just like, oh my God, like what is going on? And so like, was that like low moment? Was it a week? Was it a day? Was it a month? Was it multiple months?
I would say it was like 2 months of feeling really kind of lost.
Yeah.
I've been depressed before.
Yeah.
More like, I think I had like a really tough breakup and that sent me into deep sadness. This wasn't depression. This was just, I I'd never felt aimless.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what I was going to do. And for someone like me who grew up with this direct goal and aim, it was this new feeling that I hated.
Yeah.
It was so uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then when did you birth Pretty Smart?
So I moved to Chicago for a morning show.
Okay.
And it was like a Good Morning Today for Chicago.
Wow.
And it was the hardest job I've ever had, I think, to this day. I was up at 2:45 every day, and we were live for 2 hours, but it was so fun, and I learned so much.
Uh-huh.
And when I moved back to LA, I read this book called Beauty Sick. And a psychologist out of Northwestern in Chicago wrote it. And her whole hypothesis is that no matter what you are as a woman, smart, ambitious, all of the things, the number one thing you must be is pretty. America's obsessed with it. The world is, but particularly in America.
Yes. Yes.
And I was thinking about all the pretty women in my life. And if you ask anybody, who's the most beautiful woman you've ever seen? Very rarely will any man, any woman say, oh, this girl on Instagram is so fly.
Right.
What they'll say is like, my mom is so beautiful.
Yeah.
My sister's, my wife.
Yeah.
And so I thought about all the pretty women in my life, and they were so imperfect. They had bumps and bruises. And I was like, they're pretty bold, pretty witty, pretty strong, pretty smart. And I had interviewed all these beautiful women in Hollywood, aesthetically beautiful. Yeah. And most of them were so much more than that and didn't really get an opportunity to speak on those other things because red carpet interviews are just so surface.
Yeah, yeah. What are you wearing?
Right? Yeah. I mean, up until like 2017, everyone was still asking, what are you wearing?
Yeah.
Which is like, I think so embarrassing.
Yeah, for sure.
And why aren't we asking men that?
Yeah.
Now they are a little bit.
Yeah.
But so I interview women and some men who put a new spin on pretty. And they're people from all industries, but it's more than a podcast or a product or a card game. I really feel like the community that is around Pretty Smart are people who are seekers, who want personal and professional growth. They're people who go for it. Mm-hmm. And so as much as I hope that these stories inspire them, the messages that I get from these people inspire me because I have low days all the time.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, it's this community that is so tight knit. I want to find a way to connect them with each other somehow.
Yeah. That's pretty powerful. It absolutely is. I love the name.
Do you find that with It Factor and the community you've built?
Oh yeah. There's common threads throughout, and they're all people that honestly are searching for meaning and substance.
Yeah.
And acceptance for, I believe, who God created them to be, because we live in this world of comparison.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at an artist who's like so gifted in what they do, but all they see is what they're not. And it breaks my heart because I'm like, if you understood that you are uniquely and wonderfully made, and all your quirkiness and these things about you, they make up who you are, which makes you stand out. And if you just realize that, your frequency and energy is going to go so much higher, and you're going to be so beautiful to be around, you know? And so, yeah.
I always think of jockeys on a horse. And if they're like, you know, they have to look straight ahead. And if they look left or they look right, they fall off the horse.
Yep.
And so anytime I feel that coming up, I think of myself as the jockey, and I'm like, Danielle, look straight ahead.
That's good. With that being said, like being in your industry, man, like I think a lot of people, again, all the reality shows, they're like, even when I go back to Minnesota, they're like, how do you live in LA? You know? And it's like, I know that I'm unique. I know my gifts, but like, in your space, have you had that comparison thing happen a lot for yourself, or did you grow out of it?
I think when I was younger, okay, so I'm going to be really honest.
Please.
I never looked to my left and right. I looked up. So I felt like when I got to LA and there were the red carpet's a great like sort of imagery to use. You have all the big time people at the front. You have ET, E! News, Access Hollywood, Extra, and then you have all the digital outlets. And I was always on the end at the digital outlet. I was 22. And I never saw, I think sometimes other people saw competition on this line. I was like, Juliana Rancic's my competition.
Yeah.
So I didn't really have comparison in that way.
Yeah.
Because I was looking up
Yeah.
instead of left to right. But I do think that there's, as soon as I felt more confident in my own skill set, all of that went away.
Yeah.
Because I used to hear people be like, there's room for everyone. And I was like, except there's only 4 jobs. Like, that's a nice thought, but there's only 4 jobs.
Yeah, yeah.
So what are we really talking about? And now I see what they what they meant. I didn't see it when I was younger because I wasn't full in that way. And I'm not sure that comes with anything but time and practice.
And yeah, because time and practice, then you step into your skill set.
Yeah.
Which makes you more confident.
I interviewed a child psychologist and I asked her how you engender confidence in kids. Because I'm obsessed. I think confidence is like such a key to life.
Amen. Yeah.
So I'm like, how do you raise confident kids? And she said, confidence comes from competence. So teaching them how to do laundry, teaching them how to do all these things. And so competence in whatever industry you're in is literally just practice. Just do it.
Oh, so good.
Yeah.
It seems like you have a really good head on your shoulders. Like, it seems like you don't like succumb to things like the party scene and this and that. Did you ever do that for a while in LA? It just seems like you're just solid. Like, you're a good girl. And I relate to that because that's how I roll. Yeah. And I've always been that way. Like, for whatever.
You know what I mean? 'Cause
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know how to explain it. I've never been even tempted by it.
Yeah, same. It feels dark to me, and I don't like to be in those circumstances where it's like out of control.
Got it.
You know, I think for me, it was always that light source of like that it's dark. I don't want to be out until 2 a.m. when there's like riffraff or whatever, you know. But I wondered for you, like being in LA, you know, in your career, have you had like decided to say no to certain things, or like you know, what has guided you?
This is gonna sound so corny, but I have always felt like I have this deep purpose. I'm on a mission, and so I don't even actually feel like I have friends who go out all the time and they're like full of light. They just enjoy that environment.
Same. Yeah.
It drains me.
Same.
I just don't like it.
Yeah.
And so it's not tempting to me. Like you have to like drag me out, you know? I like a good dinner.
I say I'm here for a good time, but not for a long time.
Yes.
That's like my thing.
I love that.
I'm like, she's here, take the pictures, do the things, say hello,
connect with somebody, have a great conversation, and go to bed.
And then peace. Yeah.
I hear you. No, yeah. I don't know. I've just never, I think I've sometimes almost wanted to be more like life of the party.
Yeah.
I think actually a lot of people do business at nightclubs or like on golf courses and they want to be social. It's just not my thing.
We're missing out.
Like, I think sometimes we are, I think.
I know.
But everybody has to, I think, find their own community that works for them. If the nightlife community is for you, like, go make business deals there. Don't go like, you know, drink your life away. But it's just not mine.
Yeah. Yeah. I get you. Yeah. What's driving you right now? You know, and again, everybody needs to check out her Instagram account. And when I was looking at it, I'm like, this is a woman who's living with intention.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's such a sweet thing to say.
I was just going through all this stuff and I'm like, this I can jam with. And I wondered, what is driving her? What's driving you?
I have always, I like, Pretty Smart is the space that I wanted to be a part of. So I want to create something that, the last line of my podcast description says, come as you are. However you are. Like, it's so inviting and all the guests are so inviting and warm. Like the idea of come sit with us.
Yeah.
Um, I want to build that space, and I want the pretty bold, pretty witty, pretty strong, pretty smart to be celebrated.
Yes.
I think, if I'm being quite honest, I'm pushing up against like some of the Kardashian culture type of stuff. They're complex. They're not all good or all bad by any means, but just sort of like the gluttony, the more is more.
Superficial.
Yeah. It's like, I just think that stuff has never made me happy. And I think so many women want a space where that's not the priority. So it's really like mission driven.
Yeah. Impact. I feel like you're a woman of impact. And do you get into the political space at all, or?
Yeah, I do. I was a political science major, actually.
Wow.
And I grew up at a dinner table with my dad asking me questions. My grandfather talked about it all the time. So I do. I really, I like the space. There's this quote from Bill Clinton that's everything that's wrong with America can be fixed by everything that's right. And so I'm a big patriot. I believe in that.
Yeah.
And I think it's kind of a luxury to not care.
Yeah.
You know?
For sure.
Like, I don't have that luxury. I'm a woman, and I have dear friends who are people of color, and like I care. I want things to be better.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
How are you getting involved in that? Like, do you pick a space? Is it through interviewing people? Is it just getting informed and then using your platform to speak about it?
Yeah, I think it's kind of a mix. When I was working in news, I would do stories a lot. I had to push for one with Planned Parenthood because that, I think, sometimes gets like misrepresented. I forgot the exact statistic, but it's like 0.1% of, we shouldn't even get into all that, but like, I think the stories that I cover, I do, the people I interview, when it's election time, I get involved, I use my voice. Yeah. Do you?
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah. I mean, I don't go so deep in that spot. I think
it's hard with business, honestly.
It is, but I do believe, like, I feel called, and it's all about your calling, right?
Yeah.
Like, I feel called to help people really identify and know that there's something bigger than themselves, which is God, you know? And for me, it's like, that's my calling right now. It's like, that's like that's what gets me up in the morning. It's like, I just want people to be at peace and not live.
When people ask you what or who God is, what is it to you?
I mean, God is everything. God is the universe. God created the heavens, the world, like, you know, and I believe in Jesus, and, you know, I'm a Christian. And so I'll go into that whole gospel thing. But for me, like, that's how I'm sitting on this couch right now, is like leaning into my faith. And, you know, has faith been important to you, like, through your career?
Yeah. I don't think I had as much faith early on. I had faith in self. I like believed in free will. I still believe in free will, but in the last few years, I have really found faith, which has been like such a wonderful journey. And I feel more supported. I don't feel like I'm on my own.
Yes, because you're not on your own.
Yeah.
How has that shifted you?
I think some of the lows don't feel as critical. Because that idea that you set forth earlier about, like, it's happening for you, I think is baked into faith.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It's like, it's part of God's plan. It's okay.
Like, we're going to be good.
Let go.
And it comes with having been there before. Like, I figured a way out before, I can do it again.
What does your day-to-day look like?
It's a fire drill.
I love it.
Every day's a fire drill. I always work out. I love a good workout. It's like my one time.
Yeah.
And then I'm prepping for interviews, creating social content, time coding podcasts, recording podcasts, going to studios to do voiceovers or record shows. I pitch stuff all the time. So like I'll put pitch decks together for show ideas, for collaborations with the card deck.
Yeah.
Like, I really think you are your own best advocate.
Yeah.
And so I try and be as proactive as possible.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Yeah.
How do you prepare for
For an interview?
Yeah.
It's my favorite. I'm going to get so nerdy
Okay,
right now.
nerd us out.
This is my
please.
favorite part of
Yes.
the interview besides doing the interview.
Okay.
I love research. I always have. So I'll do a deep dive. Any video that's online, any article, read through everything. I'll like type out notes of things that I think are super interesting, things that I saw other interviewers touch on, but like not go as deep as I wanted.
Yeah.
And then I set out and I write a list of questions, and then I let it sit. And if I have like a night, I'll let it sit and come back to it and read through them and reorder them. And then I actually visualize the interview. So I don't know what the person's going to say, but in my head, I kind of have an idea. And so I think of the interview like a song. And have you ever like written a song before?
Well, no, but I could imagine.
It's like a story too.
Yeah,
It has a beginning, a middle, and an end. And
it's like a speech. I relate back to speaking.
Okay, there you go. Exactly.
Yeah.
It has like little jokes along the way. It crescendos, the hero's journey.
Yes.
And then it comes down.
Yes.
And you have to have a great button at the end.
Yeah.
That's an interview to me.
Yeah.
And so I'll reorder all of the questions based on emotions, feeling. I actually think of it as a song. So I like
that.
It's like a symphony kind of, you know?
Oof.
And then I do it. I always like have note cards. Larry King he never read a book or anything. He would just go into the interview cold because he wanted to ask what the audience wanted to know. And I'm the opposite. I'm like very much of the Barbara Walters school, which is like questions, reordering, research.
Yeah.
And I asked him one time, like, do you think I'm missing something, or do you think I'm too neurotic? Like, you have such a great interview.
Yeah.
Am I missing the magic?
Right.
And he looked at me and he was like, no, everybody has a different way of going about it, and you have to do what works for you.
So true. I believe that. Yeah.
It gave me so much peace when he said that. Because everybody will always tell you, like, just be you and everything will be great, or go off the cuff. And like, that's never been me.
No, me either.
Right?
I would never go do a 60-minute keynote off the cuff.
I don't think you're giving people value that way, unless you're like a prodigy. Some people are.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like to prepare and I want to put my best foot forward. And I think when I think of an interview, like somebody is giving me an hour of their time, and it's disrespectful if I don't make the absolute most of it to the audience, to them, to everybody.
Agree.
So yeah.
Yeah, that's really, really good. Oh my gosh. We all need to take that advice and go to work. I do very similar, except I don't think of it as a song, but now I will.
Well, how do you think of it?
I mean, what I do is go research people, and then whatever stands out to me, and then I think of the It Factor community.
Yep.
And I always say you're most powerfully positioned to serve the person you were 10 years ago.
Oh.
So I think of them and them watching and hearing us.
And you think of yourself 5 years ago?
Yeah, I know what they would want to hear.
Yeah.
You know, and then the feedback. I'm really big on data, feedback, what gets higher rates. Like,
really?
Oh yeah, I'm constantly on Instagram. Like,
oh my God.
I do the little box. I'm like, talk to me. What do you need right now? And so
I can't look at any of it.
Really?
How do you deal with it?
Yeah.
Because like, doesn't it make like, oh my God, wait, I want to have this conversation with you. So I can't look at it because I'm like, sometimes I come from TV.
Oh yeah.
And you're like, ratings almost mean nothing because it's like 2 people could have turned on the TV and the Nielsen box goes up.
This is true.
So data to you, where did that come from? Like, why is that crucial?
Yeah, because this whole thing is newer to me, having like a show and a podcast.
Yeah.
And I'm a businesswoman. And so I've been looking
Smart.
at numbers and metrics since I was 23 years old. So I'm like, why am I going to spend time because I have a company in Europe, or why am I going to go to South Korea? Well, is it going to matter? What's the numbers look like? What's the retention look like? So
Wow.
that's kind of how my brain operates.
That's really good.
And then when I started this, I was like, well, maybe just because I'm interested in someone, I don't know if my community is.
Do things
And
ever surprise you?
yes, all the time.
Like you think somebody's going to rate well and they don't.
Yeah. And again, it's because I had this weird connection to, like, I saw them when I was young, growing up. And like, then I
Yes.
realized, like, everybody that's listening to my show is like 30 to 45, and they don't even know who that person is, nor do they care, you know?
That's funny.
Yeah. Or like if it's very surface level, the people will just tune out. My community wants like depth.
Well, that's an ode to you.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
So that's how I like frame and put everything together. And I'm a flower too. Like once we go,
Yeah.
we flow.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know where we're going to go. So, so speaking of like communication and flowing,
Yeah.
you know, you have mastered the art of asking good questions.
Oh, thank
You're like a
you.
dream, and you don't really realize this because of what you've done with communication and journalism.
Yeah.
We could take that into sales, and
Yeah.
like so many people, they don't connect with people, so no one ever buys from them, right?
Well, somebody taught me a long time ago that sales is not about selling, it's about helping.
Mm-hmm.
And questions are how you ask people and get to know them and ask people what they need so you can help.
Okay, so good.
Yeah.
So is that why you created Question Everything, or why did you create these amazing cards? Which are so chic, by the way.
Thank you. I love the packaging. They're made
I
out
do
of
too.
gold foil
I
in
love
New
the
York.
packaging.
I made them for a few reasons. One is Larry King, because he was the king of questions, and I saw the importance of questions, and I saw how he commanded a room and how people lit up when he asked them something. Two is that list of questions I told you about earlier that I was putting together for Oprah and all these people.
Yeah.
I had like 800 questions, and I looked at it one day when I was unemployed, and I realized I had never asked myself one. And I asked other people questions for a living. And this was pre-therapy. I call it PSA, pre-self-actualization.
Oh, it's good. That's good.
That's
That's real good. Yeah.
And I looked at it and I was like, I have to ask myself some questions. I need to know myself.
Uh-huh.
And at the end of the 800, I got through them over months. I asked like 3 or 4 a day, and I was like, I knew myself better. I felt more confident because I was more interesting at dinners, in conversation with I had more to say.
Yeah.
And I was more practiced at asking questions. They were on my mind. So like I would be with strangers and ask them something, and I saw them kind of like light up. They were drawn to me.
Mm-hmm.
My parents, who that relationship is like, you know, as close as it gets,
Yeah.
right? I would ask them some questions because I think sometimes we forget to ask the big questions to the people closest to us.
So true.
They were drawn to me more. Like I was like, this is a superpower. Not everybody gets to play in the NBA. Not everybody gets to be a famous musician. Like
Right.
we all have dreams when we're kids. I'm 5'1". I'm never going to play basketball. Everybody has access to questions.
Yeah.
Everybody can have this little game changer in their pocket. And so I created it because I think everybody has that depth within them, has that curiosity. And sometimes you just don't. I ask questions for a living, and sometimes I don't know what to ask. I
Yeah.
freeze up.
Yeah.
It's awkward. There's
Yeah.
social anxiety.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
to just have it in a card game
Oh,
makes it easy, takes the angst out of it.
yeah. So do people do this at like dinner parties, dates?
Yeah, you know, I wouldn't take it out at a date right away, like first date. But people have.
Yeah,
and it
yeah,
works
yeah.
for them. I think they're
Yeah.
bolder than me.
Yeah.
But yeah, couples love them, dinner parties. Honestly, it's fun because you can play a few different ways. Like I've seen girlfriends get together for dinner. And if you know them, sometimes the girls will be like, wait, I know how you're going to answer that, and answer the question for someone. And then everybody laughs, and then you answer yourself. Yeah, I think there's a mix of light and fun and then depthful questions.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of nice. You can take them to any environment and you're good.
So cool.
Yeah.
I'm really passionate about this because
Thank
Like
you.
I have taught people, and my partner does as well, like how do you become more influential? And there's so many things to gaining influence, but having depth is certainly one of them, and asking great questions. I always say good leaders ask great questions.
It's
And
so true.
I feel like it's a lost art with like this Instagram, this
Yeah.
culture, this in there was this one time everyone's like, oh, I love this chick, I love this chick on Instagram. And then I like met her in real life and it was like, and I was like,
That's
sis,
a meme.
yeah, like, come on, sis, like, but I'm like, if you don't know how to communicate, but you look good on a filter, like, what happens if I throw you in the middle of LA and say, go, get a job, or go, like, I just feel in my core that people need to learn communication.
Yeah.
Like, it's just so vital.
Well, we're not taught it. It's really difficult that
yeah.
we're not,
Yeah.
and I think it's something that I'm constantly getting better at. It's practice, right?
Yeah.
But I think you touched on something really interesting because in business, we're constantly, if we have something to sell, we want something so bad. Like we're like, buy the product. It's great. I even did it, right? The packaging's beautiful. But really the way you get someone to buy something is to connect with them.
Yes.
And to solve a problem for them.
Yes.
And so Eric Schmidt, who is the CEO of Google, said, we are a company built on questions, not answers. Apple, if you go to their Apple Genius Bar, they use the Socratic method, which they answer a question with a question. All these great American companies are built on questions. They just don't really tell us that.
Yes.
Yeah. So it is a superpower.
Oh, and then now I'm thinking, because I'm constantly asking my community questions. I didn't even realize this until you just said this.
Yeah. If you want better answers, ask better questions.
Yeah. Because I'm like, that's how I build my content, everything.
Yeah. It's powerful.
Oh my gosh.
It's something I don't know how you innately knew it. How did you?
I think my mind goes, I am here to serve you.
Yeah.
So how do you want to be served?
Oh,
that's like my mindset of like, I just want to be a servant to you, whether it's digitally, on the show, on a stage,
Yeah. How can I be there for you?
Yeah.
That's really kind.
So where can we get these?
They're on my Instagram. There's a link on Linktree. They're called Question Everything. And we can even do like a promo code for your community.
Oh, let's do it. Let's do it for sure.
We'll do an It Factor promo code.
Yes. And there's really cute cropped sweatshirts that say pretty smart, which I really want one.
Thank you. We got to get you one.
Yes.
It says smart looks good on you. It's perfect for you.
So good.
Yeah.
You're really good at branding.
Wow, thank you. That's such a huge compliment coming from you.
Like, you got it. Like,
wow.
Yeah.
I never think I do, so thank you.
We never think we do. We always think we got to get better. But like, I feel like you really understand the art of that. Did that come through journalism? Where did that come up for you? Or how did you learn that?
I think I had good teachers. I looked at Larry and he always had his suspenders. And I thought, what's my thing? I'm pretty smart. I always wear a red lip.
Yes,
and
you
it's
do.
like the light bulb with the lip.
Yes, you do.
Just little things. Sometimes people don't notice all of them, but I think you have to think like, what am I going to be known for aesthetically that people can grab onto? It's like, what do you think yours is? I have an idea of what I think yours is.
I mean, I think I'm just kind of vavoom, like I just play it up. Like, it's like,
I think your blonde hair is so iconic.
Yeah, like
it's so you.
Marilyn, I would say Marilyn Monroe and I have the same birthday, and it's like,
cool.
But I've always I just love how it's like she's just like Gwen Stefani.
Yeah,
it's like, I don't give a F. Like,
you have such a look.
Yeah, thank you. Who's been one of the coolest people you ever met, like on the red carpet or?
Ooh, I've met some really good ones. Issa Rae was a really cool interview because she was so authentic and honest. And sometimes people are media trained.
Yes.
She was just who she was, which was very cool. Jennifer Lopez was somebody I'd always wanted to interview, and she was awesome.
You interviewed J-Lo?
I did. Yeah. She was really thoughtful about the questions I asked too, which I appreciated.
She cared.
And she was so stunning in person.
Yeah, that's so great.
Who else? I interviewed Leonardo DiCaprio.
Whoa.
Mark Cuban was cool because I've always admired his business acumen. I've gotten really lucky. I think I always say I've been able to ask questions to some of the most creative and successful people in the world. So I better have like a vault of good information to share.
Is there a common thread
amongst these people?
Yeah.
That is such a great question. No matter what it is, if they're creative, if they're intellectual, whatever their it factor is, they all have a very specific intention. They live with intention. They know what they want.
Yeah.
Because I think if you don't know what you want, you can't see it.
Right.
You're never going to get there.
Right.
Yeah. And it's okay. I do think it's okay to not know and see it all the time. There's been moments where I haven't seen it, and just be patient with yourself. Try and get inspired, read something, watch something, listen to yourself, and it will show up. I don't think there's pressure to know if you can't force yourself to see it.
Right.
It'll pop. It'll come to you.
There's periods where it's like you do something for a decade and then you're like, okay, what's next? And I do believe in the power of the pause. I need to do that soul searching. And it's like, I'm like, God, reveal it to me, reveal it to me. And I had a period of that too, where I'm like, I got all this purpose. Where do you want me to put it? You know, and it was that power of the pause and just learning growth that it was just like, it came clear. And I'm like, this is it.
Yeah.
You know,
it does. It reveals itself to you.
Yeah, for sure.
I agree.
What do you think your it factor is?
Oh, my curiosity.
Oh,
yeah.
Dang.
I am insatiably, endlessly curious.
Oh, so you're always learning and you're always growing because you're so curious.
I think I can turn any bad situation into something positive because of that. Like if I go on a bad date, I'm like, I'm going to learn something from this person. What am I going to, I try and connect with them and learn something so I don't ever feel like I'm wasting my time.
Yeah.
It's
awesome. Oh, well, this has gone way too fast. We're going to need like more and more time together.
That's such beautiful questions.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm so inspired by you. I'm so proud of you. I just want to acknowledge you for showing up and like you're doing it and you have such a good message and it matters. It matters. Yeah. And I was just really touched. Oh, I'm really proud of you. Yeah. You like,
thank you.
Yeah, I know that.
I'm really, I'm getting teary-eyed because I've wanted to reach people and you never really know if you are.
Yeah.
And it's just like a lot of sleepless nights and I just thank you for that. That was really kind.
Yeah. It's just when I think of you and, even my team and I, we were talking about you and we were talking about meeting you. It's like we just kept coming back to this word of substance. Like you have depth and substance and you have all the beauty. You're so beautiful, but you also are equally as like caring and intelligent and like you just raise the game and raise the standard for women. And I just want to acknowledge you for that. And let everybody know where they can buy the cards, buy the sweatshirts, and listen to your show.
I can't even talk after that. That was so kind.
You needed to hear it. You needed to hear it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You're so generous with people.
Oh,
you really are. You have to, like, for you to be like that means that you're so full. It's such a gift. Thank you for sharing that with me. Yeah. I'm Danielle Robay on Instagram. Pretty Smart is the podcast. Emily, you're going to be on mine, so we have to watch out for that episode. And everything's on my Instagram, Danielle Robay.
Yeah, and we'll link it all. Well, thank you for being here.
Thank you.